Most Excel users only use the Paste Special dialog box to paste values, missing out on the 16 other Paste Special options that can wield all kinds of Excel magic, if you know how. In this video, I'll show you some of my favorite shortcuts I use all the time, making Excel do the heavy lifting to instantly fix messy data and speed up my workflow. And stick around to the end because I've got a free tool that will help you master these tricks in no time. If you're still using the Paste Special dialog box to paste copied cells as values, then there's a much quicker way. For example, I've got a table of data here that I need to update with this data. But you can see the dates here aren't formatted properly, and if we look at these values in the formula bar, you can see they contain formulas that I don't want to bring across. Plus they've got the $ format on every cell that I don't want. So let's select the cells and copy the data. And then selecting the first cell in the destination, instead of using paste and then paste special or even paste values and using my mouse, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+Shift+V. That's available to 365 users. If you have an earlier version of Excel, you can use Ctrl+Alt+V. That opens the Paste Special dialog box, and then V for values, and then press Enter to click OK. And if you do this enough times, you get very quick at it. A pet hate I have is when percentages are entered as whole numbers, because you can't use them as is in a formula. For example, here I have some tax rates and we can see in the heading that they're percentages, but when we look at the cells in the formula bar, they're whole numbers. Now a quick way to convert them to percentages is with Paste Special. In any empty cell, type 1%, copy that cell, select the values you want to convert, Ctrl+Alt+V for Paste Special, and then I'm going to M for multiply and Enter to press OK. And just like that, they're converted to percentages and they're formatted in one go. Another use for multiply is to increase values by a set amount. For example, let's say we want to create a rough forecast by taking this year's sales and increasing them by 5% across the board. So in an empty cell, type 1.05 and then copy that cell, select the cells you want to increase, Ctrl+Alt+V for Paste Special, and here I want to M for multiply. Another way you can select multiply and click OK at the same time is by double-clicking the radio button. And just like that, my sales have increased. So now we can change this to say sales forecast. And we'll put the $ in. Let's make the column wider, and that job's done. Another common calculation is to take annual amounts and split them into monthly amounts. Here I've got an annual budget and I need to quickly convert the amounts to 1/12. So in an empty cell, type in 12, copy it, select the cells I want to convert, Ctrl+Alt+V for Paste Special. Here I want divide, and you can see it's I for divide, or double click the radio button to apply it and close the dialog box in one go. Let's rename this monthly budget, and that job's done as well. If you need to quickly adjust a set of values up or down, you can do that with the Paste Special add or subtract options. Let's say every product now comes with a $2 levy that we need to add to the cell price. So in an empty cell, enter 2. Copy that cell, select the prices, Ctrl+Alt+V, and here I want to add, so that's D, or double click the radio button, apply the addition and close it in one go. Now unfortunately you can see that's applied the formatting from this cell that we copied. So let's undo that, Ctrl+Alt+V again, we're going to D for add, and we only want to apply the values, so V for values. Press Enter, and there we go. Similarly, we can decrease values. For example, let's say we've distributed 3 of each product to resellers as samples. So we need to adjust the quantity we have in stock by 3. So we enter 3 in an empty cell, select our quantities, Ctrl+Alt+V, and here we want to S for subtract and V for values. Press Enter, and there we go. Let's say you've got a table of data, nicely formatted, as we can see here, and we want to copy these formulas down into these cells here. So I'll start by copying one of the formulas, selecting the cells, and then Ctrl+Alt+V, and here I just want formulas, so that's F for formulas, or double click to select it and close the dialog box. And if you look in the formula bar, you can see the formulas copied down.
but it hasn't messed up my formatting. Earlier we looked at pasting operations to values in cells, but you can also paste them to cells containing formulas, and Excel will modify the formula. For example, let's say I want to add 10% sales tax to the selling price. In an empty cell, type 1.1, copy it, select the cells you want to apply it to, Ctrl-Alt-V. Now here I want F for formulas because I don't want to bring the formatting across, and M for multiply. Click OK. And now if you look in the formula bar, you can see it's wrapped the formula in parentheses and multiplied it by 1.1. If we compare it to the previous formula, you can see the difference. Pretty cool. On the flip side, you can easily copy formats without changing the data or formulas. Simply select the formatted cells, and then instead of copying them, we're going to click the Format Painter in the clipboard group. Now, if you want to paste the format multiple times, double-click the Format Painter, and you can see the mouse has changed to show the paintbrush beside the plus. Simply left-click on the first cell in the range you want the format painted to, and repeat as many times as you need. When you're done, press Escape to clear the Format Painter. Now, I should point out that it doesn't just paste the font color, borders, and fill color, it also pastes any conditional formatting rules that might be on those cells as well. A lesser-known trick is skipping blanks. Here I have two tables of sales values from managers 1 and 2. Each manager has their own regions and products, and I want to consolidate them into one table. So I'm going to copy the values from manager 2's sales table, select manager 1's sales table, Ctrl-Alt-V, and here I want skip blanks. Click OK, and now I have a consolidated table of sales. Let's change the heading to sales, and I don't need this table. Let's clear that one. Job done. Now the cells you're copying to don't need to be blank. It's to do with the cells you're copying. For example, I can copy these values here, and you can see we've got various blank cells. Ctrl-C to copy, and I'm going to paste them here. Ctrl-Alt-V, and skip blanks. When I press OK, you'll see the blanks that I've copied don't get pasted over my original values. So just like that, we can see the effect of skipping blanks. Pretty handy. Here I have a table with products going down the rows, and I have the values going across the columns. And I can quickly switch the orientation of the table with Paste Special. So Ctrl-C to copy the whole table, and Ctrl-Alt-V. And here I want transpose, and OK. And now I've got my table flipped on its side. You might need to rearrange the formatting a little bit to suit this new orientation of the data. Let's say you have a table of sales data and you want to bring this total into a summary report. And I've got a summary report sheet here. One way to do it is to write a formula that links to the cell for your total. Press Enter, and now it will update as my source data changes. Another way, let's delete that, is to copy the cell containing the value that you want to link to, and then go to my report, Ctrl-Alt-V, and here I want to paste the link. And you can see it writes the formula for me. Now, because it's linked to the table on the sales data sheet, if I make any changes to that table, this cell will automatically update. And just to prove it, let's copy these cells, Ctrl-C to copy. I'll go to my sales data sheet, and here I'm going to paste, and down here I want linked picture. So now we've got this linked picture, which is the image of my report cells. If I make a change here, for example, we get figures for week 3, let's make them 500. You can see my total sales value has updated in line with the total here. Now this linked picture is just an object that floats above the grid, which is super handy because you can place it anywhere it's not constrained by the cells themselves. Now so far we've been using the Paste Special dialog box because we can easily access it with Ctrl-Alt-V. But if you're more of a mouse person, then you'll also find a lot of these Paste Special items as icons in the Paste drop-down. And if you hover your mouse over them, you get a little tooltip that tells you what each icon is until you become familiar with them. Now I've got one more Paste Special trick that you won't find in this dialog box. But first, there are even more options here that we haven't covered, including column widths, which is one of my favorites. So you can explore them for homework. If you often spend time changing the default chart formatting and you want a cohesive style across your chart, you can paste the formatting from one chart to another. Click on the outer edge of the chart to select it, Ctrl+C to copy. Click on the outer edge of the chart that you want to apply the formatting to, and then under the Paste drop-down, Paste Special, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+Alt+V, and you notice the dialog box is much smaller. Here we can choose Formats and click OK. And just like that, my chart is updated. And a bonus tip, if you have more charts you want to apply the formatting to, simply select the outer edge of the next chart and press F4 on your keyboard to apply the formatting. Repeat that as many times as you need. Now the only downside of this technique is the charts that you've applied the formatting to get this black border around the outer edge. But that's much easier to fix via the formatting, shape outline. Just change it to a pale shade of grey again and repeat for each chart to update them. And I think you'll agree that it's much quicker to make that change than apply a load of formatting steps to each chart.
Now, as promised, I've got a free cheat sheet for you that breaks down the Paste Special tricks that you can use as a quick reference guide. You can download it from the link in the description below or pinned comment. And if you like the double-click shortcut that I used in the Paste Special dialog box, there are plenty of other places you can use it, which I cover in this video. I'll see you there.